I want to talk with you today about 5 common challenges that every team faces. Now you're probably saying, Dave, there's a lot more than 5, and I do agree, but these are 5 common challenges that I want to challenge you with today to become more intentional about how you address these issues on your team. The first one is communication itself. And I think you've seen this happen where the message sent isn't the same as the message received, that you intended something to be understood and the people you were communicating to understood it differently than what you wanted them to. And it could be by body language, it could be by the means that you delivered the communication, whether it was by email or by text, and somehow the message received was different than the message you intended. This is an area we have to be very intentional about as leaders within our organizations, is how to daily improve how we can communicate with each other in a more effective and efficient way. The second one, just sheer busyness, is what keeps us from doing this one well. But I find that every team has a trouble with celebration. Every team is moving so fast to stop and celebrate an accomplishment together, just to tell someone that they did a good job. One of the principles that I love to teach is what I call relational affirmation. Not just telling Bob he did a good job or Julie, you did great today, but telling them what they did affected you. What they did affected the team in either a positive way or a negative way. Celebration creates a pathway to accountability. And if we can celebrate better as a team, if we can give people immediate feedback on their performance and when they've done something well, actually as a leader, try to catch someone doing something right, you will find that you will energize your team. We have to be more intentional about this whole area of celebration. The other thing that you're running into as leaders, and I know this is a challenge for you for sure, is just change. The pace of change today is just so great that you've got to get ahead of it. And what happens so often, and you can relate to this, we are just reacting. We're putting out fires all day long. Everything, it seems, is highly urgent and highly important. If we have too many priorities, we get none of them done. In fact, I think of the old lion tamer. Remember that, when the lion tamer would put the chair out towards the lion and 4 legs would be toward that lion. And the lion wouldn't attack because the lion couldn't come up with a focal point. The 4 legs were equal distance apart and lions would just become cross-eyed looking at it. And with the pace of change around us and so many priorities and so much coming at us at one time, we get much like that lion. We can roar, we can go through all the motions, but we never attack because we're paralyzed by the pace of change. So you have to be intentional about how are you going to get your team ahead of change? How are you going to find that, what I call quadrant 2 time, those things that are very, very important, but not yet urgent. How are you going to get your team into those meetings and schedule those times so you can better get ahead of change? The next one, and part of it's because of this whole idea of busyness, is how we handle conflict on a team. I think of this one analogy that strikes me as not washing out the glass, if you will. If you're real busy, and I think about this analogy, if I had a glass in the morning and I was rushing out to work, and I poured some milk in that glass and drank that milk that morning, and then put the glass down because I didn't have time to wash it out or put it away. And the next morning I used that same glass again, and the next morning used it again and never did wash it out. One of those mornings when I pour the milk in, that milk's not going to taste very good because of the residue that's in the glass. And so often as teams, we go through the motions, we're going through so much pace of change, we're going through so many conflicts within our organization that we never get to the place of resolving those and washing out the glass. And a very minor thing, something that maybe isn't in itself a bad thing, will cause us to explode because the flavor of our experience with that particular issue was flavored by the residue from past conflicts that haven't been resolved. Finally, clarity. This is our challenge as leaders, is how can we be more clear about our mission, vision, and values, more clear about who we want to become as a team. If we aren't clear, we cannot add clarity to the conversation. We cannot direct people to the preferred vision of where we want to go in the future. And in some sense, clarity goes through all of the other ones. We need to be clear when we communicate. We need to be clear about our celebration. We need to be clear about how we're going to get ahead on change. And most of all, we need to be clear about how we're going to handle conflict in a healthy way as a team.